So I want you to think about this for a minute. I mean, really pause and think about this. What would your life look like if you fully understood your purpose and lived each day with intention? Now, this is a big question, of course, one that I believe we all truly must reflect on in order to even begin to make sense of life. For a better part of mine, until very recently, I mostly felt like I was just going through the motions, basically doing the best with what I thought I was supposed to do, but not really fully fulfilled. It wasn't until I turned to God for clarity that things began to unfold. I realized that getting to the point of deep contentment was not about fixing things in my life. Instead, fulfillment and contentment comes from acknowledging and deeply involving myself in the process of finding the person that God has created me to be and actively living out that purpose. And really, I want that for you as well. In today's episode, we are going to be demystifying how to win on the journey of self-discovery. The objective for today's episode is to motivate you so that you can take giant stride on the journey of where you are now to where you are, most fulfilled and content. Welcome to Aneta. Now, we have quite a few of you who have joined the live stream already. Thank you for joining. And please share the live stream so that more people can tune in as well. Don't forget to get in the chat and get the conversation going. And on our next live, we're going to be reading our comments from the live chats of today's episode. Now, with that being said, let's get the conversation going. Right. Now, in the bid to actively live out purpose, we, of course, must fix a lot of things to allow us essentially position ourselves for results. Because what is purpose without a measurable outcome? A lot of people today are so focused on self-improvement, trying to fix things in their lives without taking time to first discover who they are and in what way they need to improve in alignment with purpose. The staggering growth of the self-improvement niche over the years will really show what I'm talking about. Now, from 2022, when the self-improvement market exploded, according to market trends, the market was worth $38.3 billion. With an 8% projected increase yearly, it's expected to reach a staggering $81.8 billion by 2032. Now, guess the irony, people are actually or continually dissatisfied as the years have rolled by. A recent study by the Social Market Foundation revealed that 1957 was the happiest year of the 20th century. And if that is not surprising enough, it turns out that the Victorian era, yes, the same people who lived in an era without indoor plumbing were happier than we are today. Think about that for a second. In 1957, most homes didn't have, fascinating interiors. Many did not own cars, let alone two. Television was a luxury with just a handful of channels, if you were lucky enough to have one, right? Microwaves were not even a thing. And you certainly couldn't just pull up your phone to Google a recipe or call for takeout. And yet, somehow, they were happier than we are now. All right, we are living in a world of instant everything, instant food, instant communication, and instant gratification. And the Victorians were somehow happier than we are today. They did not have Netflix to unwind after a hard day. There were no smartphones, no washing machines to make life easier, and no healthcare system like the one that we have today. Life was seemingly tougher, harder, and yet somehow they were more fulfilled and had high life satisfaction rates, according to that study. My question then is, how is it that people who lived in an era with fewer comfort, longer work hours, and with far fewer opportunities for financial upgrade and better life in general were happier than we are today? Well, this is my belief. Our world today is flooded with so many things: stuff to buy, stuff to watch, stuff to do, and stuff to envy on social media. But for all of this abundance, we've lost something essential, which is our purpose. In 1957 and during the Victorian era, people did not have the distractions that we have today. Their focus was narrower on family, on work, on faith, and on community. Life was harder in some ways, but it was also more grounded. And I'm sure all of us can attest to that. Today, our thoughts are scattered everywhere. Our lives are busier than ever. Our brains are overwhelmed. Social media shows us a never ending highlight reel of everyone else's life, leaving many of us feeling that we are falling behind. The pressure to achieve, the pressure to keep up, and the pressure to consume has replaced contentment with a constant craving for more. And with that craving comes stress, anxiety, dissatisfaction, and of course, a plunge in our physical and mental health. Materialism has taken center stage in modern culture, with success being measured by the latest gadget, the size of our homes, or the number of likes on social media. The pursuit of these external markers of validation has replaced deeper, meaningful goals like actually improving relationships, nurturing our spiritual lives, or making impact on others. Now, while technology, of course, offers great perks, it also does instant gratification. Which can, of course, never truly satisfy the deeper human longing for purpose and connection. Chasing material success or online recognition only leads to a circle of more, where you need more money, more followers, more achievement, because none of it really is enough to fill the void of purpose. As a result, many people feel emptier and more isolated than ever before, despite being surrounded by the comforts and connections that technology provides. Even the language that we speak today, all right, and that we use reflects this shift. The study that examined patterns of happiness tracks our positive and negative words, has appeared in literature over the years. Words have become more and more negative over time, reflecting a shift in how we see and talk about the world. Our words shape our perception, and when those perceptions are negative, they impact everything, or it impacts our relationship, our health, and even our ability to enjoy the good in our lives. The staggering decline in mental health that we see today is undeniable, and much of it stems from lack of purpose. When you do not know who you are or why you're here, life becomes a constant search for meaning in all of the wrong places. Even paths, every path looks like the right one until you get there and realize that it's not. My father in the Lord would say, when you do not know where you are going, everywhere would look like it. This endless chasing leads to exhaustion physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And for many, the weight of that emptiness feels unbearable. According to the World Health Organization, more than 700,000 people die by suicide every year. And for every suicide that actually happens, there are likely 20 others attempting to take their lives. Suicide is the fourth leading cause of death amongst ages 15 to 29-year-olds. Now think about that. Young people with their whole lives ahead of them, feeling so lost and hopeless that they believe that ending their lives is the only way out. What drives people to that point of suicide? What can be the cause of these menace? For many, it's not one single event, but of course a buildup of emotional traumas, feelings of inadequacy, and a deep sense of purposelessness. The constant pressure to keep up, to achieve, to be seen, to matter creates a relentless circle of comparison and self-doubt that often even brings about some type of mind-body paralysis, which is a state where you know what to do, or you have an idea on what you should be doing, but are too unmotivated or uninspired to do anything to move forward. Many people are living in some form of depression. And as we know, when people reach their breaking point, it damages their ability to process pain and disappointment. And often they are too ashamed to ask for help. Now, without a strong sense of purpose, setbacks feel insurmountable. When dreams do not pan out, when relationships fail, and when life does not go as planned, hopelessness increases. People begin to believe the lie that they have that they have no value or reason to keep going. And this is where the mental health crisis actually takes its darkest turn. No job, no amount of money, no viral success, and no social media validation can fill that void. The root cause, of course, is deeper. The answer is not in achieving more, it's in understanding your purpose. Many people today equate their jobs or careers with purpose or happiness. They think that if they just land that dream job, earn a higher salary, or work in a field that they love, then they would have found their purpose. But what happens when that job does not turn out to be what they expected? What if they lose the job or the excitement wears off? Suddenly, their sense of purpose crumbles, leaving them dissatisfied and empty. I'll say it again. No job, no amount of money, no viral success, and no social media validation can fill the void of not knowing your true purpose. Your job may be an expression of your purpose, but it's not the whole of it. Purpose goes far deeper than a career. It's why you are here on earth. It's why you are uniquely designed and what you are uniquely designed to do and how your life fits into the bigger picture. Purpose is your God-given reason for being. It is the unique calling you have in this world, the problem that you were created to solve, and the lives that you were meant to impact. Purpose is about, of course, it's not about titles or accomplishments. It's about aligning with gifts, passions, and values that God has placed within you. Purpose can be lived out in countless of ways. All right. It can be lived through roles or even jobs, but it's not limited to anything in particular. It's the thread that ties together everything that you do, giving your life meaning and direction. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, oh, if I just get this promotion, or if I just hit this milestone I desperately desire, or if I make this much money or go viral on social media, then I'll be fulfilled. But these achievements, while exciting, are temporary. They cannot sustain you when life gets hard. They cannot give you that deep sense of satisfaction that comes from knowing that you're living out your calling. But when you discover your purpose, you find an anchor, a reason to keep going even when life gets hard. You find joy beyond achieving milestones. Purpose gives you clarity about who you are and what you are here to do. It shifts your focus from chasing external validation to living with intention. Instead of saying, oh, what's next? You ask the right questions. What impact can I make? How can I serve others? Right? Why? Because purpose reminds you that your life has value, not because of what you achieve, but because of who you are. Not until we actually shift our focus from external validation to deeper, more enduring goals, no amount of progress will make us truly happy. You are probably wondering, so why is understanding my purpose so important? And this is why. Purpose is discovering why you're here, what problems you are a solution to, and what God has uniquely equipped you to do. It's the answer to the question, why do I exist? Understanding your purpose is what makes the question, what am I here for, very simple to answer. Purpose is one of the most critical steps in personal development because it gives meaning and direction to everything else. When you truly understand who you are, what drives you, and what God has called you to do, you begin to live with clarity and intention. The Bible offers a profound perspective on purpose in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, where it says, for I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord of hosts, they are plans of good and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Now, walking in purpose never leads wrong. Instead, it gets you into a great future and keeps your hope alive so that you never feel depressed. You always stay happy and you're always satisfied. Knowing your purpose basically will help you align with His vision for your life, giving you the confidence to step into that calling and actively work in it. Now, when you take the time to reflect on your purpose, you begin to uncover your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your passions. Now, these are the tools that God has given you to live out the mission He has set for you. Psalms 139, verse 14 says that I will praise you, O Lord, because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, meaning that each of us were uniquely and intentionally created to fulfill a need in the world around us. Every detail of who we are serves a purpose in fulfilling, serves a role in fulfilling our purpose, and discovering that role helps us to appreciate how intricately God has designed us. One of the most important reasons understanding your purpose matters is that it gives you direction to personal growth. All right. As you can imagine, trying to improve yourself without knowing why or where to actually even focus. It's like setting out on a journey without knowing your destination. Of course, you'll end up wandering aimlessly. Purpose provides that clear direction. It gives you it helps you basically identify areas in your life where you need to grow and equip you to make meaningful, impactful changes. Without it, personal development becomes scattered and you risk wasting energy on things that truly do not matter. And of course, the journey to discovering your purpose is not easy. I mean, one of the biggest frustrations that we have today is trying to answer the question of who am I and why was I born and what was I born to do, right? Why was I born? Life is so noisy and the world is full of opinions about who you should be and who and what you should do. Society often pressures us to chase things that do not align with God's purpose for our lives, leading to frustration and a sense of emptiness. For homemakers like me, who often feel defined by their roles and responsibilities between cooking, cleaning, and managing a household and caring for a family, it's easy to lose sight of ourselves and, of course, our calling. Your identity can become so tied to what you do for others that you might start to believe that there is no time or space to focus on your why. And I'm speaking to myself as well as a homemaker. But understanding your purpose, which is your why for existence, empowers you to break free from limiting beliefs because you are somewhat empowered to do things that you are so sure of why they have to be done. Many people live their lives reacting to what the world throws at them, believing that they have no control over the turns that their lives take. You are not a passive participant in your own life. All right. You are an active, intentional creation with a mission to fulfill. Moreover, purpose deepens your relationship with God. As you learn more about why He created you, you begin to see how intricately He has planned every detail of your life. You start to trust His plan, and you trust His plan more fully, knowing that He has equipped what exactly He has equipped you to fulfill. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do God's work, which God prepared in advance for us to do." Now, of course, we begin to trust in Him, and of course, that will give us peace and assurance even during difficult seasons, because you know that you're working in alignment with His will. Another thing to note is that living with purpose allows you to live with an eternal perspective, right? With an eternity perspective, as you live your life to glorify God and bless others, leaving a legacy that impacts your family, community, and the world for good, which is so satisfying. Matthew chapter 6, 19 to 21, Jesus reminds us not to store up for ourselves treasures on earth where moth and rust can destroy it, and where thieves, of course, can break in and steal, but we're to store up for ourselves treasures in heaven. It's important that we shift our focus from temporary gains to eternal rewards, knowing that the things that we do for God and for others have value that lasts forever. On the premise of all of this that we have just said, purpose is not just about finding a career or achieving a goal. It's about living with intentionality, serving others, and glorifying God through your life. When you know your purpose, you can confidently step into every season of your life, knowing that you are fulfilling the calling that God has uniquely designed for you. True purpose is rooted in aligning with God's plans, which provides clarity, strength, and intention. Wisdom is the key to identifying and living out this purpose, allowing us to overcome distractions and live a life full of meaning and impact. Few episodes ago, I uploaded a video titled "The One Scripture That Encapsulates the Meaning of Life," which basically highlights the totality of our existence as God demands it. Now, when you understand this, it changes the way that you see your life. It changes the way that you see the struggles and even the opportunities that come your way. I truly believe that message will bless you. So kindly go and look for the video and watch it. And as you do, I pray that it inspires you to embrace your purpose fully and step into the life that God has designed for you. Now, let's look at how people around the world perceive self-discovery and personal development, all right, and maybe find a circle where you fit into. The personal development market estimated, worth of $38.3 billion in 2022 with a steady growth projection of 8% annually from 2023 to 2030 highlights a profound global interest in self-improvement. Now, this massive figure reflects a growing number of individuals actively dedicating time, energy, and resources to becoming better versions of themselves. Engaging in personal growth activities such as reading books, attending workshops, enrolling in courses, or working with mentors has become a priority for many persons today. People are starting to recognize that investing in their development often tends to, lead to better opportunities, improved relationships, and accentuates their why, right? The rising demand for personal development resources reveals an important cultural shift. In the past, self-improvement might have been dismissed as something only for those, with specific challenges or career-focused goals. Today, it has become a norm, with people from all walks of life embracing it. Technology and accessibility has played, of course, a huge role in this transformation. With online courses, audiobooks, and virtual events, personal growth resources are more accessible than ever, reaching a broader audience. Now, the statistics also reflect how people are beginning to view personal growth as an ongoing process rather than a one-time event. The growth of this market signifies that individuals are not just, dipping their toes into self-improvement, they are committing to it as a lifelong journey. This mindset is essentially evident among younger generations who value personal growth, all right, opportunities as part of their professional and personal aspirations. For instance, studies have shown that millennials and Generation Z, and employees prioritize personal development when considering job opportunities, seeing it as critical to their career progression and overall fulfillment. Now, this growing interest also highlights a deeper realization, and that is that self-improvement is not just about success, it's about creating a life of balance, purpose, and intentionality. Many are turning to personal development not only to advance their careers, but to better manage stress, build emotional resilience, and cultivate meaningful relationships. It's about aligning one's life with, the core values and goals, all right, making personal growth a holistic pursuit. In essence, the booming personal development market serves as a mirror, reflecting a world where people are increasingly prioritizing their well-being, purpose, and potentials. It's easy to, it basically tells a story of individuals striving to take control of their lives, break past limitations, and step into their full potential. As more people recognize the value of self-investment, this trend will likely, of course, continue to grow, creating a wave that benefits not just individuals, but society. Some people recognize that, the importance of personal growth and struggle to act. A survey by Good Habits found that 65% of employees actually consider a lack of personal development opportunities a reason to not take on or hire a job seeker. Now, these statistics show that personal growth is highly valued in workspaces where people crave opportunities to learn and grow. This disparity between desire and action highlights a critical gap. Many recognize the importance of personal development, but fail to fully engage with the resources or tools available to them. Now, with personal development opportunities everywhere today, it's essential to note that it requires an intrinsic motivation to engage. It's a personal decision to invest time, energy, and resources into growth, which many are still slacking on. As much as this is an issue, there is a bigger issue at play. A lot of people getting in tune with self-development are getting into it with the wrong mindset, right? Many people remain stuck in the gap between recognizing the importance of personal growth and taking consistent, deliberate action on the things that they learn. Closing the gap requires a shift in how people view growth, not as a luxury or afterthought, but as a critical part of their everyday lives. The struggle is not limited to the workplace. It extends into all areas of our lives, including personal and spiritual growth. Even in faith, many understand, the importance of growing closer to God, but delay actions like prayer, Bible study, or service, thinking, oh, I'll just get to it later. Now, of course, this mindset keeps them stuck, robbing them of the transformation they could actually experience. Now, another set of individuals live reactively, simply going with the flow of life rather than actually taking charge of their growth. They may not even be aware of the concept of personal development or see it as something relevant to their daily life. These mindsets can lead to a pattern of accepting whatever life throws their way rather than seeking opportunities to actually grow and improve. While specific statistics on this group are hard to pin down, the steady rise of the personal development market suggests the awareness of self-improvement is increasing, though many remain disengaged either due to lack of interest or exposure. From a recent study result, when comparing the three groups, those who actively pursue personal growth, those who understand but fail to act, right, and those unaware of its importance, the differences in their experiences and outcomes are striking. Individuals who actively engage in personal development report greater life satisfaction, stronger relationships, and clearer sense of purpose. Their commitment to intentional growth allows them to align their actions with their goals, creating a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling. On the other hand, those who understand personal development but do not act on it, most of the time feel stuck. They might know what they should be doing. They know that they should be reading, learning, or setting goals, but excuses keep them from moving forward. This can lead to, of course, frustration and a sense of stagnation where they feel that they are, falling short of their potentials. Finally, those who remain unaware of personal development values miss out on life-changing opportunities. While they may not feel dissatisfaction outright, they are unaware of the greater fulfillment and purpose they could experience if they took on active roles in their development. The Bible speaks directly to, the concept of intentional living in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14, when he says, "Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give you life." There has to be, an awakening, not just spiritually, but in how we live our daily lives. It calls us to, move from positivity to purpose, from merely existing to actually succeeding. This aligns perfectly with the resolution of personal development, taking intentional steps to grow, to improve, and live out our God-given purpose. Now, when individuals awaken to the possibilities of personal development, they begin to see life differently. They understand that growth isn't just about self-improvement for its own sake, but about becoming the person that God has created them to be. It's about breaking free from complacency and stepping into a life of intentionality. Now, to be honest, self-discovery and personal development sounds great in theory, but they're not always as easy to put into practice. We all need motivation to carry out anything in our lives. Now, let's talk about motivation for a little bit. Motivation is that inner drive that pushes us to act, all right? It also pushes us to achieve goals and move forward in life. It's what gets us out of bed in the morning. It fuels our ambitions and basically helps us to persevere through challenges. Motivation can come from within, which is otherwise known as intrinsic, motivation, right? And there's another called that actually comes externally, all right, and it comes from external factors like recognition, and the fear of failure, right? But still, many people struggle with the lack of motivation. For some, it's a passing phase, a rough week, or a stressful situation that leaves them feeling drained. For others, it's more of a persistent issue. They find themselves just unable, all right, to commit to tasks goals or responsibilities, and thought of actually starting anything feels overwhelming. I mean, I was here for the longest time. This lack of motivation often extends into multiple areas of life, work, relationship, personal growth, and creates a circle of inaction and guilt. The reasons behind this lack of motivation, of course, can vary. Some people feel stuck between their goals, because their goals do not align with their true interests or values. Others feel overwhelmed by the pressure to succeed, which paralyzes them even before they start. All right. A lot of unmotivated individuals also battle with self doubt, thinking, oh, why bother if I'm not good enough to succeed? Others lose motivation because they do not see immediate results, leading them to, feel like their hard work is not paying off. That's me as well. Now, for some, it's simply exhaustion from juggling too many responsibilities without seeing, any personal fulfillment. And that was me as well. Now, motivation is a complex reality many people battle with today. It feels easy when there is a reward waiting, like a paycheck or recognition. But what about when there is no money involved or tangible reward involved? That's when things get real. Many people find that when they're not working to get paid, they start asking themselves deeper questions. Why am I doing this? What do I truly enjoy? What am I passionate about? It's in these moments when the external rewards are stripped away that people discover what really drives them. The truth is this: most people work because they need to. They have bills to pay, they have families to support, or a certain lifestyle to maintain. And while there's nothing, of course, wrong with this, it's not always enough to keep motivation high. Many find themselves dragging through tasks or jobs that they do not love simply because they have to, not because they want to. Now, this lack of intrinsic motivation can make work feel like a chore, leading to burnout and dissatisfaction. This is what dopamine, or this is where people begin to crave for dopamine. Dopamine is the brain's feel good chemical released when we achieve something, whether it's big or small. It's what makes us feel a rush of satisfaction after checking off a to do list or winning a game. Dopamine is important for creativity. It fuels our drive to pursue goals and keeps us energized. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the brain that plays a vital role in how we experience pleasure, motivation, and reward. Now, in today's world, we're constantly bombarded with quick, easy ways to trigger dopamine spikes. Social media, for example, is designed to give you instant gratification through likes, comments, and shares. All right. Binge watching a series, endlessly scrolling through videos, or eating junk food. All of these activities basically deliver quick hits of dopamine without requiring much effort. Now, the problem is that these big hits, all right, lack depth or long-term fulfillment. They train your brains to seek instant rewards, making us less inclined to invest in tasks that actually take time and effort. Now, this instant or constant chase leads to burnout as we rely on short lived pleasure rather than sustainable sources of satisfaction. Over time, the highs feel less rewarding, and we're left feeling empty, disappointed, or even unmotivated to pursue meaningful goals. The way we view the world and approach our goals significantly impacts how our dopamine is released. If we align our efforts with realistic and achievable steps, dopamine becomes a powerful ally, all right, helping us to build momentum and enjoy the process. However, when our expectations are unrealistic, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Take the example of wanting to win a gold medal in a sport without having the necessary skills or training. Now, while dreaming big is important, setting an unrealistic goal creates stress and frustration. On the other hand, breaking the goal or into smaller achievable steps, like starting with regular practice sections, leads to a steady release of dopamine as you celebrate each milestone. Viewing the world positively and honestly helps shift dopamine from being just a fleeting pleasure to a sustainable force for progress. When you learn to celebrate small wins, you reframe challenges as opportunities and stay motivated even when the path ahead is long. To maintain momentum throughout the day, we need regular, healthy dopamine hits from small wins and achievements. Now, this could come from completing a task, learning something new, or even enjoying a brief moment of reflection. Now, these daily doses of satisfaction drive productivity and help us stay focused on our goals. However, there is a fine line between healthy dopamine regulation and over pursuit. Now, when we chase constant, intense rewards, whether it's from social media likes, binge watching, series, or overloading ourselves with tasks, we risk overloading our dopamine system. Of course, no good comes out of that. It leads to burnout, emotional exhaustion, and a diminished ability to enjoy or find joy in everyday achievements. Instead of feeling fulfilled, we might actually end up feeling drained and disillusioned. The key to productive and sustainable motivation lies in finding the sweet spot in dopamine management. Now, this sweet spot is about creating a balance between enjoying small rewards and working towards long-term goals. Now, how do we achieve that? First, we need to moderate, or we have to have moderation over intensity. Instead of chasing big dopamine spikes from instant gratification, focus on smaller, steady rewards throughout the day. For example, take a moment to acknowledge your effort after completing a task, even if it's small. This will keep your energy levels balanced and prevent you from the emotional highs and lows of over pursuit. Another one is to align rewards with meaningful tasks. Attach your dopamine release to actions that actually matter. Instead of seeking rewards for tasks unrelated to your goals, celebrate progress in areas that align with your personal or professional growth. For instance, reward yourself for making progress on a challenging project rather than scrolling through your phone for quick hits of pleasure. Number three would be celebrating the journey, not just the destination. Many people wait until they reach the final line to feel good, but this, of course, can make long-term goal very exhausting. All right, it can make you feel that instead of finding joy in the process, all right, you basically just wait for the long-term reward that comes, which could take too long. You want to keep your motivation steady and reinforce positive behaviors as you go on your way. Number four is healthy habits, all right, that actually boost dopamine. Incorporate activities that naturally support dopamine production, such as exercise, all right, meditation on God's word, spending time with hobbies that you actually enjoy. These are not only to boost your brain's reward system, but also improves your overall well-being. When we rely solely on external rewards like money or applause to trigger dopamine, we risk losing motivation when those rewards are not present. The key is to understand how dopamine works and how to use it to stay motivated even when there is no immediate payoff. Instead of waiting for the finish line, we can train our brains to celebrate progress along the way. Now, for example, if you're working towards a goal, do not wait until it's fully complete to feel good. Break it down into, say, smaller steps and reward yourself for each step that you take. Now, of course, it could be as simple as enjoying a moment of gratitude after completing a task, or acknowledging your own effort with a small treat, all right, or takeout. Now, these mini dopamine hits keep you moving forward without burning out. Motivation also ties into personal development. Many people battle with feeling unmotivated because they haven't connected their work or daily actions to a bigger purpose. Personal development basically helps you counter these by encouraging you to explore your passion, align your tasks with your values, and set meaningful goals. When you see your work as a part of a larger mission, whether it's providing for your family, building a skill, all right, or contributing to something greater, it becomes easier to stay motivated even on tough days. In the end, motivation is not just about making money or hitting big milestone. It's finding joy and purpose in the process. By understanding the role of dopamine and creating habits that nurture steady progress, you can stay productive and fulfilled no matter the circumstances. Where motivation is low, it doesn't just affect your goals, it impacts your entire life. Productivity decreases, of course, and the simplest tasks feel impossible to tackle. Relationships can, of course, suffer because you are disengaged or disconnected. Personal growth will stall, leaving you feeling stuck in the same place. Over time, of course, this lack of action would lead to frustration, a sense of failure, and even a deeper emotional struggle like anxiety or depression. Now, to break free from this circle, it's crucial to first understand what drives your own motivation, right? It's the thrill of achieving. Is it for you the thrill of achieving something, the joy of helping others, the sense of purpose that comes from contributing to something bigger? Now, once you identify that, what truly inspires you, you can start to rebuild that inner drive. At the same time, it's essential to address the habits and mindset that fuel motivation. Small actions like, setting achievable goals or celebrating tiny wins can create momentum. Now, understanding the role of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, can also help you stay motivated as it allows you to experience satisfaction, not just at the finish line, but along the journey. Motivation may not always come easy, but it's something that can be nurtured and strengthened with the right perspective, habits, and a clear sense of purpose. You can rediscover the drive to commit to your goals and live a fulfilling, engaged life. Life throws challenges our way, and sometimes it feels impossible to focus on ourselves amidst everything else that we are juggling. But here's the truth: those setbacks do not have to stop us. Now, when we understand the barriers holding us back and how to overcome them, we can move forward step by step. The first barrier is fear of failure. Now, the fear of failure is one of the most paralyzing emotion, all right, especially when it comes to personal growth. It whispers lies to you like you're not good enough, or what if everyone like sees you fall or fail, right? Now, these fears can keep you from trying something new, stepping outside of your comfort zone, or even pursuing what you know in your heart that you're called to do. And this fear isn't necessarily about failure in itself. It's more like what the fear represents: rejection, judgment, or a blow to our self-worth. But failure is not final. It's a stepping stone, not a dead end. Think about any skill that you've mastered or any success that you've achieved. Behind that, there are possibly countless moments of trials and errors. Every failure taught you something: what did not work, how to adjust, and how to persevere. Every stumble makes you wiser or more prepared for the next step. In fact, the Bible teaches us to see our weaknesses and failures differently. In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9, God says that my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Now, this definitely reminds us that God does not need us to be perfect. He works through our imperfections. Failure is not a sign that we're not enough. It's a space where God's strength can actually shine through us. History is filled with examples of people who turned failure into success. Thomas Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that it would not work." While inventing, of course, the light bulb, we all basically know the story. Imagine if he had stopped, all right, after the first few attempts or after the 500th attempt. I mean, the great achievement that came from the trail of failures that he had would not have been gotten. And a lot of successful people try their best to ensure that the fear of failure does not keep them down. They see it as a deeper opportunity to trust God more, and then, of course, when we step out and we step out of our comfort zone and things not go as planned, we can also be rooted in Christ, knowing that our success or our failures do not define us. All right. So the next time fear of failure tries to hold you back, I want you to remember that you're not, starting over. All right, to fail, you are starting over because now you are stronger, you are wiser. All right. It's a journey of becoming who God created you to be. Lack of time and resources uh, is another point that we have to cover. Life feels like a never ending to do list: work, family, church, school, errands. It seems impossible to carve out any time for yourself, let alone for personal growth and resources. Maybe you've thought, I can't afford that, of course, or I don't have the mentor to guide me through that. Now, of course, these thoughts are valid, but here's the good news: personal growth does not have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be time consuming, or it doesn't have to be expensive. Personal development is not about overhauling your entire life in one big leap. All right, it's about small, consistent steps that add up over time. If you could spare just 10 minutes a day, maybe it would allow you read a chapter of a book, all right, listen to an inspiring podcast like ours while folding maybe laundry or taking a quiet moment to pray and reflect before your day starts. Now, these small moments might not seem much at first, but over weeks and months, they make a huge, huge difference. For example, let's say you read just 10 pages of a book each day. Now, this would amount to 300 pages in a month, an entire book or even books. Imagine how much wisdom, encouragement, or practical knowledge you could gain from just that small daily habit, or spending 5 to 10 minutes in prayer or journaling every evening. Over time, you could not only have grown spiritually, but you would have also gained clarity about what your goals are and how to overcome challenges. Another common excuse is, oh, I do not have the money. And yes, some personal development tools, like courses or seminars can be pricey, but the internet is filled with resources. I mean, YouTube videos, blogs, ebooks, and even community groups are filled with resources that you can use. A library card can open you up to a world of books on personal growth and faith community. Faith communities can also provide you free mentorship or workshops. Personal development does not have to mean spending a fortune. It's making the most of what you already have. This is, of course, a big reminder. You do not have to do everything at once. Do not let the idea of too much to do overwhelm you into doing nothing. Basically, start somewhere, anywhere. All right. Even if it's taking baby steps. Maybe today you can set a goal to pray for 5 minutes, or tomorrow you just jot down a list of areas where you'd like to grow. Right. The key is to start, no matter how small. Life will always be busy, but growth is about learning to prioritize. When you take even a little time to invest in yourself, you're not just, of course, helping only yourself, you're becoming better equipped to handle the demands of life and to serve the people that you care about and those that you have been called to serve. Now, there's also guilt over prioritizing yourself. If you're a homemaker or caregiver, you probably know this feeling. How can I focus on myself when there is so much to do for everyone else? It feels selfish. It doesn't, like if you take time for yourself, you're somehow letting other people down. But trust me, if you're always giving and never refilling energy, eventually you will step out of what you need to keep doing. Think of yourself as a cup, right? You're constantly, pouring out. taking care of your family, managing your home, supporting loved ones. But if your cup stays empty, how can you keep pouring? Now, this is why prioritizing your own growth and well being isn't selfish, it's a necessity. It's how you ensure that you have enough to give. Even Jesus took away time every now and again to rest and pray. In Mark chapter 1, verse 35, we see that very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. If Jesus, with all of the demands of his ministry, took time to step away and recharge, doesn't that show us how important that is? It shows us the importance of, developing ourselves, taking care of ourselves. All right. It's not about ignoring responsibilities. In fact, when you do develop yourself, you get better at your responsibilities. It means that, you are taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, right, and spiritually, so that you can show up fully for those responsibilities. Now when you spend time praying, reading, learning, or even resting, you're not just taking away time from your family, you're becoming a better version of yourself for them. So let go of the guilt. You're not choosing between yourself and your family. You're choosing a healthier, stronger, and more capable version of yourself, so that you can be the impact or give impact to others. And that's the kind of investment that benefits everyone. Remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself, stay connected to your source, all right, so that you can continually be filled to the overflow for others to draw from. For homemakers like me, personal development sometimes takes a back seat because caregiving and family responsibilities can feel all consuming. It's easy to neglect, your own growth when you are busy meeting everyone else's need. But the truth is this: you cannot, I'll repeat again, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Prioritize personal development, all right? And of course, it does not mean ignoring your family. It means becoming, as in actually deliberately scheduling your time so that you can have few hours to get better as a person. Practices like setting simple quiet time for prayer and reflection, learning new skills that enhance, the home, and basically build your own personal joy, build emotional resilience through faith, and a supportive community can make a huge difference. Now, from a Bible perspective, personal growth is deeply aligned with God's plan for your family. Proverbs 31 shows us the beauty of a woman who works diligently, right? She grows in wisdom and cares for her husband and her household with intention. By pursuing your own development, you're not only honoring God's call on your life, but you also set an example for your children, teaching them to value growth and faith through your actions. Personal development is deeply rooted in God's call for us to grow continually. In 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 18, the Bible says, it says, but grow in grace and knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. All right. Even the Bible acknowledges that growth is not optional. You can only grow in grace when you increase in knowledge. It's an essential part of our walk with God, whether it's spiritual growth, emotional resilience, or developing our skills. Each step forward helps us to reflect more on Christ's character. And growth is not about striving in our own strength. It's not about perfection or checking boxes. Instead, it's about leaning into God's grace. And we will grow in grace when we spend time developing ourselves. Philippians chapter 2, verse 13 tells us, it says, for it is God who works in us both to will and to do of his good pleasure. God provides the strength and the guidance we need to grow. Our role is to stay connected to him, seeking his will and allowing him to shape us. Ultimately, personal development is not just for our benefit, it's about living for God's glory. When we grow, we're better equipped to use our gifts to serve others and reflect his love. Whether it's building stronger relationships, raising children in faith, or helping others in need, our growth basically allows us to live the purpose God has for us. It's a journey. It's a journey of becoming who he created us to be, not for our own recognition, but so that his light can continue to shine through us to bless the world. And let me quickly share with you as I round up 5 facts about personal growth that you need to know. Number one is that personal development is all about recognizing who you already are. It's funny how we often think of personal development as a complete transformation, all right? Like we must become someone totally different to be our best, versions. But personal development is not about creating a brand new you. It's about discovering who you already are. And at the core of that, um, you know, bringing to the forefront who what you were created to be. It's like the never ending layer of laundry that we fold every week. I mean, underneath those layers, right? I'm talking to homemakers now. Underneath the layers of all of the work that you have to do is a real person designed so uniquely and beautiful. You see, each of us is born with a core, a set of strengths, talents, and even quirks that make us who we are. Personal development starts by recognizing that essence, the foundation of who we are. It's becoming aware of what is already within us, the giftings, the strengths, and yes, even the parts that we struggle with. This is very important because if we do not acknowledge who we are, truly, who we are, we end up spending our lives trying to be someone that we are not, chasing a version of ourselves that does not even exist. Proverbs, of course, it takes us back again to Psalm 139:14 that keeps reminding us that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. All right. It makes it very clear that before we even think about developing ourselves, we must understand this fundamental truth that we are wonderfully created for a purpose. God did not make a mistake with you. He didn't make a mistake with any of us. He placed something special within each of us. And personal development is about recognizing that special something and allowing it to shine. What are the strengths that I have been hiding or ignoring? What parts of me have I overlooked? What do I currently have in my hands right now? What problems can I be a solution to? And most likely, this would be the problem that you already have solved personally. Now, the first step to real personal growth is recognition, recognizing that God has already placed incredible potentials within you, and that your job is to nurture it, grow it, and allow it to flourish. Number two fact is that growth happens when you are uncomfortable. And I know that this is very hard to hear, but growth happens in discomfort. And the reality is that none of us enjoys feeling uncomfortable. It's tough, it's draining, and sometimes it's frustrating, whether it's dealing with a toddler who just refuses to calm down, or we're struggling to make a budget stretch until the end of the month, or even facing a personal challenge that shakes our confidence. We've all been there, right? And the thing, these moments, the ones that stretch us to our limits at the exact moment when real growth happens. Think about the plant and a seed that is sown in the ground. It's said to be very hot and very uncomfortable, but very soon you see it sprout. Now, when you are in your comfort zone, everything is easy. It's predictable and safe, and there are no surprises. But while comfort feels nice, it's not where growth lies. Growth happens when you step outside of what is familiar and you push yourself just a little bit beyond what you think that you are capable of. And the Bible tells us in Romans chapter 5, verse 3 to 4, it says, we glory in tribulation also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. Now, I guess what Paul is trying to say here is that in those moments of struggles, those times of discomfort, that we are actually developing something valuable. Tribulations or challenges produce patience, and patience gives us experience, which ultimately builds hope. You see, personal development is not always a neatly packaged feel good journey. A lot of times it's messy, it's challenging. But here's the beautiful part of it. When you embrace the discomfort, you come out of it changed. You come out stronger, you come out more resilient, you come out better equipped or for whatever comes next in your life. And that's the magic of discomfort. It doesn't feel good in the moment, but when you do lean into it, when we allow ourselves to be stretched, that's when the transformation actually happens. And the most incredible part of this is that you start to realize just how much strength you truly have. You begin to trust yourself more, knowing that you can face the hard stuff. The third fact about growth is that the power of small habits over time is incomparable. The third, there's something so simple yet so powerful about little habits. It's the idea of growth. The idea of growth, of course, does not come from one big dramatic change. It comes from small, consistent actions taken over time. And I think this is something that we can all relate to, especially as homemakers, as moms, as women, and people in general. Life is made up of those little moments, those small decisions that we make every single day, and together they form the foundation of who we become. How often do we underestimate the power of little things? It's easy to dismiss small actions because they seem insignificant at the time, but it's just like those everyday routines we do in our homes, the increasingly small things that make all the difference, like tidying up, all right, the kitchen every night before bed, or taking the time to sit and pray with the kids, before they fall asleep. These are tiny actions that, when done consistently, creates a home that feels warm, loving, and organized. Over time, they become habits that shape the environment we live in and the people we are becoming. Jesus teaches us this very principle in Luke chapter 16, verse 10. And it says that he that is faithful in that which is little will also be faithful in much. Of course, Jesus was basically teaching us the power of consistency here in the little things, all right, that we're actually building character to handle bigger challenges when we do the little things well. It all starts with being faithful in your day-to-day action, no matter how small they are. Number four is to surround yourself with the right people. You have probably heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most of your time with. At first, it might sound a little cliche, but really think about it. There's a lot of truth behind that. The people that we choose to spend time with have a great impact on our thoughts, our attitude, and most importantly, our growth, whether we realize it or not. Those closest to us shape who we become, both for better and for worse. Now, I'm not here to tell you to suddenly, cut away all of your friends or distance yourself from people that you care about, but start with being intentional. Take a honest look, take a honest check at the people around you and ask yourself, are they encouraging me? Are they stifling me, or are they uplifting me? Are they helping me become the best version of myself? Every traveler needs companion. And if your companions are supportive, uplifting, and willing to help you, when the road gets rough, then the journey becomes more joyful and fulfilling and worth the while. But if those walking with you are constantly pulling you down, doubting your direction or adding extra weight to your luggage, that journey suddenly becomes much harder. It becomes the worst journey of your life. The Bible captures this beautifully in Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17. It says, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. This is a vivid picture. All right, imagine 2 pieces of iron, when brought together, sharpen one another. There's friction and there's a lot of resistance, but ultimately they make each other better. This is exactly what relationships should be like. Our friends and the people we allow into our lives should sharpen us. They should challenge us and push us to grow. They should, be the ones who help us see our potential and motivate us to reach it. Ask yourself this: who in my life is sharpening me right now? Who is actually pushing you to grow, not just in your career or personal goals, but spiritually and emotionally and mentally as well? These are the people that you want to keep close. They're the ones who bring out the best in you, who see, greatness in you, even when you cannot see it in yourself. But what if right now you feel like you don't have, those kinds of people around you? Well, you can actually seek them out, right? And do not also forget what you consume on a daily basis. In today's world, we have endless access to content from social media, video, podcasts, or even books. Decide to fill your own mind with content that only inspire and challenge you. And that's the kind of influence you want in your life. People, voices, and content that make you feel more alive, more connected to your purpose, and more eager to grow. At the end of the day, personal development is not about solo, is not a solo journey. It is a journey that is enriched by the people around us. We're meant to live in community, to learn from one another, all right, and to be sharpened by those who share the road with us. So take some time to evaluate, who are you allowing to speak into your life. Are they adding value? Are they encouraging you to become all that God has created you to be? If not, maybe it's time to actually make some changes. Now, number 5 will be personal development is a lifelong journey. The last, of course, of the truth is that when you stop learning, you actually start dying. Personal development is not a destination, it's a journey, a lifelong one at that. Sometimes we convince ourselves that if we just, read enough books, attended enough seminars, or achieved certain milestones in our lives, then we'll finally arrive at a point where we've mastered ourselves. We believe that there's some kind of finish line, a place where we're completely developed, fully grown, and where the work is done. But the truth is this: there is no such finish line, right? Growth does not end, and it's not supposed to. Life is constantly about evolving, and so we are also supposed to be evolving. Every day brings on new challenges, new experiences, new opportunities for growth. Personal development is embracing that process, basically accepting that we are always in the middle of a journey, right? Never truly at the end of it. Philippians chapter 3, 13 to 14 tells us, it says, "Brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing that I do, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forth unto those things which are before, I press towards the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus." And this is Paul, one of the most accomplished lawyers and scholars of his days, saying that he hasn't arrived. He knows there is much more ahead for him, much more growth, more purpose, more work to be done. And so he chooses to keep pressing forward. And that's what we're also called to do as well. We press forward, not because we're incomplete or not good enough, but because we have to, because we have a purpose, right? God has created a calling um, upon each of our lives. And if we're here, we have more to learn, more to experience, and more ways to serve. Personal development is strategically and intentionally taking steps daily to grow into that purpose. It's about becoming more of who God created us to be, step by step and day by day. This mindset is feeling is very freeing, excuse me, because it takes away from the pressure of having to be perfect or having everything figured out. It reminds us that we're allowed to keep learning, to make mistakes, and to continue improving. Well, with that, I've come to the end of today's topic. I hope you were blessed. All right. And I hope your eyes were open to see personal development from a different perspective. Remember that you do not have to change who you are. All you need to realize and embrace, is who God already made you to be. Thank you for joining me on today's live stream. I hope that you gained something valuable. All right. And because, of course, the aim for me being here is so that we both can learn. All right. I'd love to hear what resonated with you. Please feel free to share that in the live chat. Remember that you can reach out to me on any of our social media platforms. I'm always happy to connect and respond to your messages. As promised yesterday, I will be shouting out those who left live chat on the live stream yesterday. So we're going to be starting with Sure Health Benefits here says, oh, exactly. Yesterday, of course, we talked about divorce and, of course, how a lot of people are projecting or planning for divorces that have not even happened. because they're not even, I mean, they're essentially not even married yet, right? And then it was such an interesting topic. If you did not watch that, if you weren't able to catch that, I would implore that you go and watch that. But yes, on yesterday's episode, Show Health Benefit said exactly, children basically bear the burden. Yes, very correct. Children bear the burden when adults are being, are trying to separate, when the parents in the home are going apart. The biggest factor that is affected by that is definitely the children. Well said. All right, so I have another one from Stevenson Leon. He says, I wish the world could hear this right now. Thank you, Stevenson. I also wish the world could hear this right now. And please keep sharing. Yes, and if you're new to any of our live streams, please keep sharing, get people on board, tell them to come. I mean, it's always a lovely time, and we learn a lot from each. All right. So Child Health Benefit says again that there is no plan B in Christ's love for us as it should be in marriage. Yes, very correct. We said that yesterday on the live. If Jesus, if we are to do marriage as Christ loves the church, and Jesus does not have a plan B when it comes to the church, I wonder why we have exit strategies in marriage. I mean, beats me. But then, yes, it's a reality. People actually do have exit strategy, and I really hope that we go into marriage with careful consideration to avoid us having to have exit strategies, basically. So yeah. Yeah, so we got another from Sheku. Sheku says, good afternoon. I'm chatting from Dubai. Hello, Sheku. Thank you very much for joining the live from Dubai. Thank you so much. And I hope again that you keep tuning into more lives in the future, and you keep sharing also so that your friends and family can join as well. And I really hope you were blessed by that. Vicky Weiser says, spilling throats, keep up the good work. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you so much for joining the live. And this is from Joanna. She says, very insightful and rooted in God's word. That's what we hope that our lives are every time, that it's insightful and is rooted in God's word. And I hope that we all got one or two things from there. All right. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, and please do follow us. All right. Do not forget to subscribe. All right. And do not forget to also follow us on Rumble, where I live stream as well. It's basically the same content, but you could either watch here on YouTube or watch on Rumble. And while you're there, feel free to also explore other videos that would encourage and uplift you as well. You can also find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you were watching from Rumble, all at Aneta Elisha-Oladejo. Thank you once again for being a part of this journey. Thank you for being a part of this live. And I look forward to seeing you at tomorrow's prayer session. Tomorrow we're going to be praying, and we're praying for our finances, which I know that you would love so much. All right, so I'll see you then, and I'll see you tomorrow. Godspeed.